Hello and welcome to ADTV, and today you join us at Park Farm Lakes and we're joined by Amer Jawad, who is the UK General Manager for Rive. Now Amer's having a little bit of a fish today, but we're just going to take a short break from that to talk you through some of the excellent products we're using. So first of all, we're going to take a look at the R feed design, Amer. Now obviously I've seen you use this a bit this morning. I must say it's very, very impressive, but just let you talk us a little bit through about more cosmetics and actually the performance wise of the rod. So let's go with what it's made with to start with.
Yeah, okay Steve. Yeah, this is obviously made, nowadays most rods are made with very good materials. This one in particular is made with a Japanese Toray carbon. To most people that probably doesn't mean a lot, and it didn't to me, to be honest. But Toray carbon is used in the automotive industry, it's used in the aviation industry, and obviously even used in various things like sports cars, F1 cars, etc.
Crazy.
And I think the reason behind that is because nowadays, I remember carbon rods of many years ago, they were very thick to get their strength and their balance, and they were much heavier and cumbersome. Nowadays, you can have a rod, this is 11 foot, it's incredibly slim, incredibly strong, and the action is not compromised at all. As you can see, it just makes it a dream to cast when it's cutting through the wind as we've got today, casting maybe up to 30 metres to an island. It's incredibly accurate. You know, the whole blanks on these rods are just amazing in this new design range.
I must admit, like you just touched on there, that it's so thin and it is so light, but I mean, if it's using the same stuff as Formula 1 cars, that doesn't surprise me.
That's right.
A little bit about the eyes, because that's quite important as well. You were saying that they all forward facing, which again perhaps doesn't mean something to everyone, but there's a reason behind it as well, isn't there?
There is, Steve, yeah. And the reason for that is, you know, sometimes you're fishing into headwinds, we're looking at how the line basically pours through the reel, through the eyes, and obviously when you're aiming to where you're casting to. Because they're forward facing, there's less chance of the line actually looping around the eyes themselves. These Fuji eyes are absolutely fantastic for that. The standoff distance from the blank is important. 16 eyes on an 11 foot rod as well. They're spaced out perfectly and evenly as the rod progresses to the tip. The diameter of the eyes, especially this day and age, you know, with feeder fishing, we're looking at braid fishing a lot of the time, or thicker lines for commercial use, as well as going onto natural venues, rivers, canals, big canals, you know, lakes, etc. It just caters for heavier monos, finer braid lines, etc. Because shockingly the knots will pass through them very simply.
So a lot of thought has gone into this. Now this next thing I'm going to ask you, and this really does sell it for me as well, is how versatile this rod is. It doesn't just come, does it, as a two-piece feeder rod as such. So talk us through exactly what it comes with, because there's a whole host of options, isn't there, and why you'd use them. So you've got a few tips, and so how many tips do we get?
Right, well with the one we've used today, how we've used it today, we've used the rod as it comes with a top section. Now what I mean by that is most feeder rods nowadays come with a top section where you get pushing tips. So you get a tube, you can swap it with various half ounce, 3/4 ounce tip. Now this rod is very different because the actual tips are built into the rod. So you actually get four, it's supplied with, it's almost like a system, the rod itself. You actually get 4 tips with the rod that are already built in. So you don't pull them out. You've got half ounce, 3/4 ounce and an ounce tip on these rods. The one we fish with today is an ounce, and these are carbon tips. Now they're all the same length, there's no differences in length, so you're not compromised on the length of the rod by making the rod thinner at the top to the next tip that might be medium. The action isn't compromised at all. What changes is just the tip itself, and obviously the sensitivity of the tip itself. So if it's half an ounce, obviously that's the most sensitive to the ounce. Now they're the 4 tips. You almost get 4 rods there to use.
You do, don't you? Yeah.
And the next part of the rod, which is another unique point of this rod, is you get another top section. Now this is more like your standard rods that we see these days. Now why we've done this is you've got another top section, so it's the 5th tip with the rod, and you actually get a set of glass tips. The reason being is because the glass tips tend to be a lot softer. Fiberglass compared to carbon. Carbon just has that stiffness to it, which is quite important when we're fishing for things like drop backs. Well, you know, you're going onto waters where there might be some more tow in them. you've just got that less pull on it, so you have more of a read on a bite rather than something that's more rigid, say on a carbon tip. But you can always alter the tip themselves, like I said, between a ½ ounce up to an ounce. So you've got a set of glass tips, again in the same sensitivities from ½ ounce, 3/4 to an ounce, and they just push in so you can swap those tips over to suit your needs.
Okay, so perhaps as it gets a bit finer, you've got to read that insert bite a little bit more. You've got the glassed softness, and you've got the carbon for your other bits and pieces.
That's right.
As well.
So a lot of options.
And now this is worth a mention because I've never seen tips painted like this at the end.
We were talking about this. I've used these rods now for a few months since they've come out, and when I first saw them, I was a little bit unsure about, because I've always been used to, say, a small amount of orange or whatever colour, yellow or orange, or even in some cases just pure black, just behind the tip eye. So that's the bit you look at basically. Now there's many a times I'm straining down like a small pole bristle to see it a distance from me with different light changes. As you know, Steve, we've had, filming today, we've had lots of light changes. Sun out 1 minute, cloudy the next, wind up, wind down, and so on. The one thing that's absolutely blown me away today is the vision on these tips has been amazing. And I certainly haven't strained my eyes to see a little bit
really good, mate, I must admit. And then finally, I'm just going to touch on your rods. There's a few lengths, isn't there? So what's available? Does it start at 11, 10?
Yeah, it starts at 11 foot, which is the rod we're using. So this is the 11 foot light version. And again, you've got lots of options with each rod with the different tips. This is the 11 foot light version. There's a 12 foot above this, which is a light version. Yep. Then there's also a 12 foot medium version in this rod. So it's obviously for longer casts, a little bit more power, maybe on smaller rivers. And obviously they're designed for everybody's needs on the venues they fish, really cater to their needs.
Excellent. Well, I'll be pretty surprised if you can find a fishing situation where this rod couldn't cover it somewhere in the range. But we'll just quickly touch on the reel you've chosen with it today as well. Again, we've gone for you the Rive reel. There's obviously going to be different sizes on there, so a little bit about this.
Yeah, the one we've used today is an R3000 feeder reel. Now, first thing I'll say about this, it's not just a feeder reel by any means. The reel's quite a small reel, but it's got a big spool, it's got a wide a spool itself. It comes with a spur spool as well. Now, the whole reel, this really matches up to this rod. It's a light 11 foot feeder rod, so it matches well to this. I've used this on the longer rod. I've also used this for pellet waggler fishing, so it has a lot of needs, this reel, in this size. It also comes with a 4000, which is slightly bigger, and a 5000 for those bigger casts. So the 4 and the 5 you'd use, say, for fishing past the distances this rod's designed for. So maybe you use this rod up to, say, 70 metres, you'd fish the others past that, and obviously cater the reel accordingly to the lines you're using and the distance you're fishing and the winding power, etc.
And it's incredibly light, mate. And I take it some of the points on here that I can just notice from the eye, the carbon handle and stuff like that, they all make that difference, don't they, to the weight, I'm guessing. It's how you can get it to be that good.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of good points about this reel. The carbon handle's one of them. The compressed foam on the handle, so if it's raining and your hand's wet, etc., it never changes, never gets mouldy, won't drop and break or anything like that. Nothing can get stuck in it the way it's been designed. The lightness, of course. It's an aluminium construction, 11 ball bearings, so it's got great winding power. The good thing about having 11 ball bearings as well is those ball bearings take a lot of strain off the actual gearing. It's got lifetime bail spring, front drag, anti-reverse underneath, so it's easy to reach when you're playing fish if you play off the reel handle rather than the drag system. Metal line clip, which is very important when you're casting to the clip or fish runs to the clip. You don't want a plastic pinging off, metal won't. But all in all, I've used this reel now for 7-8 months. It's covered in ground bait. I've not had a problem. It's fantastic.
No, mate, I can see why, and like I said, it has produced well today. It looks performance-wise great. So I'm perhaps going to let you get on and fish with it for a bit longer, see if we can have some more fish. But all the products are available from Rive at Angling Direct now, available online and in store. Certainly something to have a look at, and an excellent piece of kit.